Welcome to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast, where we explore some of the truly difficult questions and challenges that parents and their families face every day. Whether it's the sometimes painful process of parenting teens and young adults, navigating relationships with your partner and children, or you discovering your purpose in relationship with yourself, we will bring heartfelt and vulnerable conversations to the table to support and empower you. Our mission is to help you create a lifestyle full of love, passion, adventure, and influence. Here we go. Hey there, and welcome back to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with the absolutely incredible Erin Verdis. How's it going, Erin?
Good, everyone. What's going on today?
It is going really well. I think we're both excited to be here,
Mhm.
excited to embark on another powerful conversation. So if you're a parent of a teen or young adult or a parent of any age child, let's take a breath. Let's slow down a little bit. This is our opportunity to have a really good conversation to set us up for a great November. That's when we're recording this. It's the beginning of November. Is it the beginning of the holiday season yet, babe?
Yeah, around here it is.
I was at Target this morning and they were playing Christmas music. So
Oh, are you serious? So see, it's not
yeah, I'm
just me.
feeling
It's not just me and
festive.
Skylar. No, Skylar,
It's too
had a
soon.
friend over the other day, and they went down and rifled through the Christmas bins to help Skylar put, like, some pillows and blankets up, and so it's like it comes really full force about now. It'll die out for a couple weeks, and then closer
Yeah,
to Thanksgiving, we'll ramp up again, but I know Chris doesn't allow any Christmas music in the house before Thanksgiving. I get it. I totally get it.
I'm more about quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And it's individual preference. I totally understand that, but that's my
So
preference.
I play it when I'm in the shower, when I'm in the car.
But actually, that is a tie-in with today's topic, which is how to help our teens and young adults make empowered choices. And this is a big one because when it comes down to how do we really help ourselves? How do we really help our kids? This is really it. How do we put them into a position to make those small choices, but also those really big choices?
Mhm.
And we're going to talk a lot more about what those choices are and why they're so important and maybe why they're so hard to make in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've done a lot of thinking about this since we decided on this topic, and, Chris and I see this a lot in the parents that we talk to all the time. We do it. I definitely do it. We
Yeah.
see it around us with friends, moms and dads and things like that, our kids' friends' parents, and, I think the reason that we hover so much, that we try to rescue our kids, that we wanna make the damn choices for them half of the time when they're not making them quick enough is out of it's fear. End of
Yeah.
story. We are afraid that they're gonna make the wrong choice. We're afraid that they're not gonna make any choice at all. We're afraid if we invest money in, whatever, a coaching program or college or whatever it is, and they mess it up, we've lost out on that money. Like, it's fear. It's so fear-based, and when we can really just own that and take a step back and recognize that um, you know, if we're honest with ourselves as adults, how did we become these greater versions of ourselves? When we get into our 40s and 50s, I think most of us can take a look in the mirror and say, I actually like who I am now. I don't hate myself anymore like I may have in my 20s. I love myself, and I'm proud of everything I've gone through and all the trials and tribulations and falling down and getting back up. It's made me more confident. It's made me more resilient. It's made me a better human being. I have something to offer the world now because of that. So why would we take that away from our kids? And every time we rescue them or we want to make the decision for them or we don't have faith and belief in them, and believe me, they know when we don't, we are robbing them of gaining resilience and confidence in themselves by falling down and getting back up. And even if it means they waste our money sometimes, even if it means they get their heart broken or they have to start all over, or I've had so many clients who went to big top universities who came home because they
Mhm.
were miserable or they got caught up in partying or they didn't know what they got into a major that they were miserable in and they just couldn't take it anymore or a million other reasons. And they left the huge universities, behind to come home and figure out who they are and what they really wanted. So it happens. And what we can do as parents is really instill our belief in our kids by giving them the opportunity to make mistakes, to fail, to fall down.
Yeah, and that's really how you find yourself, and that's how we found
Mhm.
ourselves. Wherever you're sitting right now, wherever you're driving, wherever you're walking, like, think about the journey that got you to where you are right now. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of challenges, and as Erin said, you fell many, many times. You made many, many mistakes. I mean, none of us are perfect. I think parents sometimes wanna think we are, and I think our kids think that we think that about ourselves. But that's actually part of letting go, is letting go of that just need of control, that need for seeming to have it all figured out,
Mm.
because that's not the case, that wasn't the case. And so we get it, it's hard. And I think that's why these types of conversations are so important, because on the flip side of that is we see our kids. Okay, we see them for their potential, for their best selves. We see everything that makes up who they are, and we just want the best for them. And so is all of that control and wanting to guide some of their choices and force them to do things, is that coming from a really good place? Of course it is. And we're not judging anybody, including ourselves,
Mhm.
for wanting to play that really important role, but we're also helping you understand the important role that making some of those choices and making some of those mistakes can make towards building your kid's character and helping them really find themselves. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that self-discovery part of the process really looks like
Right.
and what types of information I think kids need in order to make small choices, and also some of those big choices like college and relationships and where to live and all these different really important things.
Yeah, and so, you might be thinking, "Okay, well, is there another way? Is there a middle ground besides just letting my kid completely fall down and fail and get their heart broken and waste a lot of money?" Yes, and that's what we're doing here today, right? We wanna
Yeah, that's
offer
right.
you as parents, you can coach your kids without letting them know you're coaching them. It's not perfect,
Absolutely.
and believe me, being a life coach for teens and young adults myself, I'm always trying to sneak in coaching with my kids, and I have to know when to back off a little bit. But there's little conversations you can have. There's little tools and tricks and strategies that you can help them implement. We talk a lot about modeling things, and that goes so far. And then sometimes, we have to play the role of being a little bit of a coach for them. And so, Chris, why don't you talk about that first, idea we were talking about of making those small choices every day? And this is maybe teeing up one of the first of a few things we're going to talk about that's going to help you learn how to help them gain that resilience and that confidence and that belief in themselves maybe before they have to fall down.
Yeah, so this particular concept came from a recent coaching call. I was coaching one of my amazing young adults, and he just came to me. We did a kind of a check-in throughout the week. It wasn't a regular coaching session because he was really struggling. He is struggling with some of those big decisions about where to go to school, what to study in school, where to move to, should I move? Is that the right thing to do? And he was just feeling absolutely overwhelmed. And so I was pretty privileged that he had the courage to reach out to me, which a lot of young adults at first, that's part of the process, is getting better and better at reaching out and asking for help and
Mhm.
being vulnerable. And so I was proud of him first and foremost for doing that. So we hopped on a call and I calmed him down. Because remember, part of the reason we feel overwhelmed and we feel scared about some of those choices, can we get too much in our thoughts and we get stuck on some of those unhelpful thoughts. And when we're stuck, we're not in that position that we need to be in order to process things, to move forward, to make choices. And so, what I helped him with at the end of the day was I helped him come up with 3 questions that he is going to ask himself every single night. 3 simple questions that are going to help him create a good day for the following day. And the framework for these questions is that it's going to get him making small choices. And you might ask yourself, well, why is that so important? It's because if you're struggling, or if your young adult is struggling with making some of those big choices about what to do and where to go and who to spend time with and what's my future going to look like, then you actually start by building up the muscle of making those small choices every single day.
Mhm.
And so this is how I'm helping him is I'm having him reflect on and answer these three questions. The first question is what's something different that you're going to do tomorrow to make it a good day? Now, why is that question so powerful? It's because most young adults, most teenagers, what do they do every day? The same thing that they did yesterday, the
Mhm.
same thing that they did last Friday, last Saturday, right? And that's not a good or bad. We're not judging. But if you want to help them create real positive change, if you want to help them really start to move forward, then you have to get them thinking differently and you have to get them doing things differently. And that starts with coming up with one thing, so one small choice that they can do tomorrow different to help them move forward. So that's number 1. Number 2, and you'll probably notice that a lot of these are related, and that's a good thing because it's all in the same spirit. But number 2 is what's one thing that your teen or young adult can do tomorrow to get out of their comfort zone? Okay, and so think about what a comfort zone is. It's a place where you feel safe. It's a place where you're kind of doing things a certain way, the same way all the time. You're avoiding the big things, the scary things, the things that you don't want to do. Those things that you don't want to do could include taking out the garbage, helping mom and dad around the house. Darren?
Absolutely. Get out of that comfort zone, and it would probably scare them too.
Or for this young man that I'm coaching, it was having difficult conversations with his parents, getting out and meeting new people, joining new
Mhm.
clubs and joining new groups. That was getting out of his comfort zone. And so I challenged him not once a week, not once a month, because we're trying to build up a repetition, a practice here. Every single day, one small thing that you can do to get out of your comfort zone. You're thinking about it the night before, you're doing it the next day. It's something you're going to be proud of at the end of the day when you're reflecting back on your day and you're celebrating your wins. This is really good stuff. And the third question is our teens and young adults, they have a lot of ideas. It's part of the reason that they feel overwhelmed. It's the reason they get stuck is they have all these curiosities and all these thoughts and all these different possibilities. And so now it's time to start sorting it. It's time to start doing something with all of those curiosities and all those ideas. And so the question is what's one of those curiosities or one of those ideas that you're going to follow up with tomorrow? And it doesn't have to be for an hour or 2 hours. It could be a 10-minute exercise that you do every day to take one of those thoughts. And so, for example, if your young adult is thinking about colleges, research one college tomorrow, and then one the next day, and then the one the following day. You see the spirit of this? And every time your teen or young adult answers these three questions and follows through, you know what happens? They're going to start to build up their confidence. They're going to start to figure things out, and they may even start to get more motivated.
Yeah, I love that. And those 3 questions are things that you can sit down and have that conversation with your own teen or young adult, right? And you
Yeah.
could write those down or talk with them. You write them down right now. Sit down with them, have them write it down, have them post it or put it by their
Yeah.
bedside somewhere. Just something to look at, something to get them loosening up, get more curious about what's possible for them. And then, another story that I'd like to share, because I think this is
Yeah.
going to touch a lot on a few steps that you can take when your kids are trying to make some of these bigger decisions, right? Like Chris mentioned
Mhm.
with this client of his, is what, a lot of kids right now are looking at colleges. They're looking at universities,
Oh, yeah.
schools, and colleges and what's next. And do I want a gap year? Do I want to go to college? What do I want to study? It's very stressful for a lot of kids.
Mhm.
Way more overwhelming than I think we, realize for them. And then stressful for us
Mhm.
parents, back to how we opened this episode, because we're scared. We're scared for them. We're worried they might not make the right choice. We're worried they're going to have to change majors mid, their career in college, and that's okay. And so I am in that boat right now with my son River. He's considering what he wants to do. He's a senior, so he'll be graduating in the spring. And just to tee it up a little, River doesn't have an amazing grade point. He doesn't have a terrible one. He's kind of right there in the middle. He probably couldn't get into any school he wants, but there's a lot of schools that are open to him. So we start there, right? What's possible? And something that we have talked a lot about is helping River get to know himself a little bit better. And so that very first step that we can help our young adults take is more self discovery. What is it that you value? what are you passionate about? What are you curious about? Who are you? Getting to know themselves well enough to know what kind of environments would be really healthy and conducive for me. What environments might I want to avoid if I'm really honest about my challenges and my strengths and my values and the things that are important to me. And so, an example is that we're here in Michigan, and there's a college in Detroit called Wayne State University. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. And Wayne State is not a great big, what's the word I'm looking for, Chris, when I'm thinking of some of the bigger universities?
I know what you mean, like
Yeah,
a University of Michigan
right.
or
Michigan
Al
State, which
yeah,
River has his
exactly.
eye on Michigan State. He has his eye on
Yeah,
Western Michigan. And some of those schools are more party schools. They have a lot more fraternities, there's more
yeah.
opportunity, they're more social, they're huge colleges and huge universities. And this one in Detroit, Wayne State, it's a smaller university. We went and toured the campus and I was walking around and there's all kinds of kids just by themselves really studying. It's a little more academic, it's a little more focused. I got this vibe from the school that it's just a little more serious, right? Doesn't mean there's not parties and sports, of course. I'm not naive to that. But River, when he's honest with himself, and Chris and I see it all the time, he's an uber social kid. He loves the parties. He's easily distracted. He loves to be out there doing lots of things all the time. And so when we talk about environments that at these bigger universities, I asked him, I want you to take some time and really be honest with yourself. Do you think that is the best environment for you? I didn't tell him what I thought. I do know what I think, but I didn't push that on
Yeah.
him. I'm asking him to take some time to reflect and think about what environment might help him and support him to be as successful as possible in college. And so he's doing some of that work now, thinking about things, thinking about what's important to him. The other piece of this is helping your kids get more curious, right? That idea of curiosity over clarity. So, River thinks he wants to study sports management because he was a basketball player. And so the idea of Wayne State in Detroit is he has all these amazing sports teams right in his backyard in Detroit. We have the Tigers and the Red Wings and the Pistons. Doesn't mean they're all doing well, but they're great teams down there. And so helping him to get some clarity and be more curious and open-minded. What do you really want to study? Um, he doesn't have to have all this clarity. He doesn't have to have the plan all laid out. He doesn't have to know exactly is that truly what he wants to major in. But I'm asking him to get a little more curious, to make sure to explore all of his options and opportunities and possibilities. Just because he played sports his whole life doesn't necessarily mean sports management is what he really wants to do. He's also very creative. He's got a lot of other sides to him. So, as I'm talking about my son, I want you to be thinking about your kiddo, whether it's looking for colleges or what their career path is. And these are questions we can start asking them and having them start to ask themselves. And then also giving them that sort of safe space to know that they can come talk to you about all these ideas, that you are not fixated on one thing or another for them, that you're just open. You're holding space for them to come to you with all their curiosities, all their possibilities. And they might come to you with some outrageous things, right? That are just going to blow you away. Like, what? You want to study that? Where'd that come from? And he does sometimes, River, he'll say he gets back to his ties to music and his fascination with beats and music and all this stuff. He'll talk about fashion sometimes and street fashion, and I know that's in him. He's creative, but that's why I want him to be more curious instead of just this tunnel vision of this is what he needs to do. And so as parents, our job really is to just get them thinking on a deeper level, help them become more curious, help them delve into a little more self-discovery, hold space for them to come to you to talk about all their ideas and all these possibilities. And that is the best way that we can equip them to start making some more empowered choices that are coming from them, not from us.
Yeah, so you don't have to have it all figured out. And that includes us as parents. We're not perfect. We don't have it all figured out. Our kids definitely don't have it all figured out. The way that you do figure it all out, or at least get some of the answers to make some of those choices, is you start to really reflect and get clear on who you really are. It's something that Erin and I talk about in our coaching program with all the young adults that we coach. We talk about it with parents too, is we look at everybody as this unique, incredible, amazing individual. Individual being the key word. We're not like anybody else. And the more that our kids start to put the puzzle pieces that make up who they are together, and that puzzle piece, though, those puzzle pieces include things like their passions and their curiosities and their values. Those are just a few of the many puzzle pieces that we help young adults reflect on, get clear on, so that when we're asking them those 3 questions before they go to sleep each night and they're determining what are those small steps or small choices that I'm going to make tomorrow, they're not random choices. Usually, they're going to be choices that are in alignment with their passions, alignment with their values and their goals, all these really important things. So they're not just on autopilot. They're not just repeating the same choices and the same things over and over and over and over again. Okay, that doesn't feel good after a period of time. That's when you start to feel stuck and overwhelmed and afraid. But when you start to build yourself up by taking some of these small steps every single day, like I said before, this is what starts to make the impossible, which is kind of how it currently feels, all of a sudden it starts to become clear. It starts to become possible. And that's when Erin and I in our coaching program, we have a big smile on our face because usually within the first couple of meetings, in the very first couple of meetings, what do we focus on? We help your kids learn more about themselves.
Mhm.
And as soon as they do that, no matter how they came to us, if they were angry, they were frustrated, they didn't want to be there, this wasn't their idea, why are my parents making me do this? All of a sudden, the light bulb goes off and they realize, oh my gosh, there I am. And there's some different possibilities for my future. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, it's really fun to watch them come to life, and it's true. They come in all some kids are just they found us themselves and they can't wait to be
Yeah,
there,
that's
but
true.
8 to 9 times out of 10,
Oh,
parents find us first, and then their kids come in, and sometimes they're very resistant, and yes, watching them that's the case, or sometimes very surface level. I'm working with a
yeah.
girl right now who she's great. She loves it. She shows up every week. She's doing the work, but she's just skimming the surface. And yesterday she dove deeper and she got more curious and she had a couple aha moments. And I was
Mm.
like she really started to understand more about who she is. And she's like, I've never thought about what my challenges are. We talk
Yeah.
about strengths and challenges, and we talked a lot about that. And she just discovered some really cool things about herself. So, some kids are the minority who Chris and I were just talking about his son, Ben, before we jumped on, and Ben is someone who's
Mhm.
more introverted. He spends a lot of time with himself, which there's pros and cons to that as well,
Sure.
obviously. But the pro is that he is more creative and he knows a little bit more about himself naturally and organically because he spends a lot of time with himself and he kind of does a little bit of this self-discovery without knowing that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so he's just such a cool kid like that. So some kids are like that by nature. The majority are probably a little bit more like my son, pros and cons there too. The con being that he doesn't know how to slow down long enough to do some of this self-discovery on his own terms. He doesn't necessarily know how to ask himself those questions at night on his own terms. So
Right.
that's where we often come into the picture. And that's why we're so passionate about what we do is that we, get to work with these kids who don't know how to do some of this self-discovery, who don't know how to ask themselves some of these deeper questions on their own. And we get them into our environment to slow down, learn
Mm.
how to even breathe differently, how to speak to themselves differently, how to think differently. And it's
Yeah.
amazing. So we are here and in the show notes we will have the link to our website, or if you want to book a discovery call with us parents and chat a little bit more about your young adult, that's what we're here for. But in the meantime, take all of these questions that Chris talked about today, what I talked about with my son River, that, self discovery, getting more curious and not worrying about having it all figured out and all clarity all figured out, being that safe space for your kids to come talk to you and explore with you. I promise you what will help so much. We hear it so often that kids shut down from their parents. Again, a whole nother episode we'll probably touch on soon, but a way that you can avoid that is to just let them just be there, be quiet. Let them talk to
Yeah.
you. Ask them some questions to get them exploring and just listen. Be a sounding board for them. And believe me, I'm not perfect at this. I know how hard it is. It's really hard. I did it the other night with my daughter. Last night at bedtime, she had a really rough day with a friend, and we were talking and I had to give my opinion about something, and she totally shut down. She was like, "Good night," and I walked away and I'm like, "Damn it, did
Yeah.
it again." So I do it all the time, but I catch myself. At least I'm mindful of it and I remember next time I won't do that. But just being there to listen and let them explore with you is how you can help them start making some incredible empowered choices.
Love it. Love it.
Um,
Love you, babe. We
yep,
love all of
you.
you. We're so thankful for all of you tuning in and being a
Mhm.
part of these conversations. As Erin said, like, you can always reach out to us. So I don't think we often talk about that, but like,
Yeah.
this doesn't have to just be a podcast. If you want to reach out to us, you can always schedule a call with us. We support parents, we support teens, we support young adults.
Yeah.
And so reach out, have that conversation. That conversation alone can be one of those choices, speaking of choices,
Yeah.
that can make a lot of difference. Just talking to somebody about some of these things can make a lot of difference. And so
Absolutely.
we welcome you to do that. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye. See you later. Bye bye.
We are so thankful for you and your beautiful family and hope you found something inside today's episode that brought you hope, inspiration, and most importantly, a path forward. If you're interested in evolving your relationship, giving your kids the most important gift of personal growth and development, or are a mom looking to reconnect with your confidence and become empowered in all areas of your life, then schedule a discovery call with us today. Our mission is to help as many families as possible find their purpose, and that starts with you. See you in the next episode, my friends.